Most high achievers think that they fail at their goals because the goals are too big or they didn't try hard enough. But having worked with thousands of leaders now, I know that's almost never the real problem. The real problem is the way they were trying to achieve the goal. Usually, they're using an approach that is hard, exhausting, demanding, or completely unsustainable. They have not audited the method for achieving that goal. And whilst those work for short bursts, and my high achievers are particularly good at making that happen for short periods of time, once life happens, progress slows, or motivation dips, then these goals are at risk and often will fall by the wayside by February. Big goals don't happen in short bursts, and if we want to be really ambitious about our goals, then they're often going to require a longer time commitment and they're going to require a lot of regularity over time. I don't love the word consistency because I think it can make it overly harsh, but they will need regular work over a longer period of time because often we don't have full control over that outcome. So, for example, if we're trying to get a promotion, we can do everything that is on our side within our control, but the ultimate decision is not entirely within our control. And there are many goals like this. So we can only do the things from our side, but then at a certain point, patience also is required and time. And that's where we want to have methods that are not unsustainable and that do not mean we fall off a cliff the minute that we are tired and want to give up on the goal. So today I want to share with you the method that I'm using for 2026 and how I'm going to achieve my goals in 2026. Maybe you've been able to think about 3 to 5 of the most important goals that you would love to achieve next year. I've kept mine really small this year. I've only got 3 to 5 goals, and I think that's just going to help me next year. This method practically guarantees that your biggest goals will happen. And it's really simple. We get to be just as ambitious with the actual goal that we have in mind, but the way that we work towards it has to be easy, fun, and fit with our life. When you design your goals in this way, not only do you get to enjoy the journey, which is so important, especially for high achievers, because it can be tempting to live for outcomes. I'll be happy when is a very common phrase that I know is going on inside the minds of my high achieving clients. But also when you have a method that is easy, fun, and fits your life, you actually stick with the game long enough to get your desired result. Even if it's not as quick, it doesn't happen exactly on the timing that you initially would have loved. What this means is it makes your biggest goals inevitable, and that's what we're looking for. And stick around till the end of today's episode because that's when I reveal my word of the year 2026, which really is part of the energy that I want to be building everything from this year. Because without that alignment, ambition can just be a little bit of self-punishment and need to prove ourselves. But when we have that bigger alignment, that bigger vision, the word of the year that really sets the tone, we can operate from a place of real alignment. So from today's episode, you are going to get to understand this easy, fun, fits method, the EFF method. It's not about making your goals less ambitious. It actually just makes them more achievable. So this really is about goal setting for people who want joy and results. So let's start with the main idea. And that is that a big goal is not the same as a to-do list item that we can just tick off. It often requires that real long-term commitment, and that could be across seasons, other personal setbacks, hormonal shifts, tired days, busy weeks, ill kids, messy life, right? And this is where I notice that people often choose methods that only work in that perfect week, that mythical perfect week when they have time for all of the different things that they need. But instead, when you design that approach to be easy, so it's possible on your hardest week, and I always ask my clients as I say, is this going to be possible in your toughest week when everything's gone wrong and you're exhausted? We're going to make it fun, which kind of speaks for itself, but I'm going to get into the practicality of this. And most importantly, we make it fit your current life. We don't make everything else out of whack in order to achieve this goal, because that's completely unsustainable. And it means that you fall off the cliff before time has been able to work in your favor. I talk a lot about the power of time and compounding time to serve your biggest goals. I talk about that on the Vision Unblocked program, which I will put a link to in the show notes. So when you do these things, you make it easy, fun, and fit your life. You remove the friction that is what derails high achievers. You don't burn out. You don't start resenting the goal and start questioning the goal. And you don't quit when progress slows, especially when results are not in your control, like YouTube growth, being able to do your first pull-up. You keep going because the process itself is intrinsically rewarding and you enjoy doing it. And that's why this method practically guarantees the outcome. I'm not going to say it guarantees the outcome. I'm only going to say it practically guarantees it, because there's always going to be exceptions, and that's where the one-to-one coaching comes in. But it's going to make it so much more likely for those reasons. So yes, the goals remain big, but the way that we achieve them becomes sustainable, enjoyable, and aligned. So let's start. The first bit is easy. So this is making it feel almost effortless. And I'm even going to go so far as to say lazy. Like, when you're feeling lazy, what are you still going to be motivated to do, and how are you going to be able to do that? So for example, for me, on the nutrition front, it means having things like my amazing almond croissant baked oats in the fridge, in boxes, just ready to grab if I am either not sure what to have for breakfast, or I'm leaving in a rush, or I want something cakey with my coffee, or I want a treat after lunch or dinner, which, let's face it, we all do, but it's delicious and nutritious as well. So having things like that ready will make it so much easier for me to meet my protein goals and enjoy the process. And then on the finance front, I want to get as organized as possible on my finances. And what I've come to realize is there's no point having a perfectly organized junk drawer if you haven't got those really important things that you need in place from a financial perspective, like your will. For me, it's about having a dedicated time at the right points in the week where I'm motivated and I can crack those annoying but really important admin tasks that are important from a finance front. It also helps me to have some meetings with people that are involved in that process, whether that is friends who are having it with similar goals or family members. And that also makes it easy because it's much better to be able to bounce those ideas off others and then report back on progress. The next one is fun. So this is the thing that makes us enjoy the journey. I always remember I had an incredible headmistress. When she was retiring, we all gathered for a party for her. And she said, "You're all celebrating all this stuff I've done, but actually I've just had so much fun along the way." And that always stuck with me. And it was how I want to have my career, is that yes, I might want to have impact, yes, I might want to affect people's lives, but I will also want to really enjoy the journey. And so I think if we can crack this, if we can nail this part, then it's the idea that if you love what you do, then you'll never work a day in your life. So it's about feeling energized when you're doing things, making you actually want to show up, tapping into your personal strengths. So for me, tapping into connection, so being able to have partners and collaborators, tapping into that creativity, like having my creator days really feel super fun. I love my corporate work. I love going to different client sites, but I also love like a really truly creative day and being in that zone and making stuff and taking pride in what I'm creating. The third one is that it fits. Now, this means that it has to fit into your actual life, your actual season, your personality, not a fantasy version of you that exists for 48 hours in January. So for me, I don't need 10 new recipes a month. I just need 1 or 2 per month that I can build into the schedule, that I can start to really master. I can tweak them, I can make them better, and eventually I can make them on autopilot. I don't have that much time. I don't have time to get my head around a lot of different ingredients, a lot of recipes, and I really need to work with what I've got in the house already. So those are some examples of how you can make things easy, fun, and fit with your life. Now, whatever big goals you have, whether that is writing a book or getting a particular race time in running, body recomposition, building financial systems that support you long-term, strengthening your relationships, this is what guarantees follow through, what's going to build the joy in just the process. That's where we want to look. And so I hope that has given you a few ideas for designing your goals. And then my word of the year is laughter. I've always enjoyed having people around me that are funny and making jokes. In particular, my son is hilarious and we spend a lot of our time just in hysterics. And I've enjoyed going to comedy nights this year. And I've just noticed how much I enjoy a social setting when there is humor there. I find that's a lovely way to both connect but also have a more lightness of being as well. So that's going to be my word of the year, laughter. When I have an opportunity to spend time with people, have laughter, then I'm going to really prioritize that. And so that's my kind of North Star. Last year, my word was surrender, and it worked beautifully for me. So I still want to keep that type of mindset. I don't want to throw that away. It is how I found the name of my business, which I then managed to get trademarked. It's also how a lot of more serendipity came into my life. And as somebody that my comfort zone is to have goals, it's been really nice to have a year where it's a little bit more flowy, and what needed to come in has come in, such as, for example, the garden, which I talked about last time. So that's my word of the year. I would love to hear yours. So please drop me a note. We will put the contact details in the show notes. If today's episode resonated, then of course you've got my vision checklist that can help you make sure that you've got clarity on your vision. You've also got vision unblocked. This is going to be the perfect time of year to do something like that, to set you up for creating incredible goals. Start there. That's your big picture, and everything else will make so much more sense once you've got that high level North Star. So I look forward to connecting with you next time. All the details of things that I've mentioned today will be in the show notes. And if I don't see you this side of 2025, then a happy new year. And I look forward to connecting with you next year in 2026 for lots more fun, easy ways to achieve your goals. All right. Bye-bye.